Her laughter. It used to be my favorite sound in the world, a melody that could brighten even the darkest days, the kind of laugh that once made my heart swell with happiness. But now, standing at the threshold of our home, she laughed, and it felt like knives slicing through my chest. "Hey, honey," Olivia called out, her voice light, almost playful, as she kicked off her heels and tossed her purse onto the couch. She had just returned from a business trip, or at least that's what she had claimed. The laughter still danced on her lips, echoing through the living room, but the moment her eyes landed on the dining table, it stopped, like someone had pressed mute on a remote. Her smile faded, her face drained of color, because there, on the table, was a framed picture of our wedding day. The two of us once so blissfully in love, her in that stunning lace gown, me in my navy blue suit. We looked like a couple who had conquered the world together, but I had made one small addition to the picture. Across the glass, in bold red marker, were the words, "I know." Silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. Olivia's eyes darted. From the picture to me, I stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, my expression unreadable. She swallowed hard. "Nick," she started, her voice barely a whisper. What is this?" I let out a small, bitter chuckle, one that even I didn't recognize. "I don't know, Olivia. Why don't you tell me?" Her lips parted as if to speak, but nothing came out. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head, calculating, measuring, trying to gauge exactly how much I knew. Her hesitation was all the answer I needed. I stepped forward, my voice low but laced with something sharp, something that made her flinch. "For months," I said, "you've been feeding me lie after lie, business trips, late nights at the office, a sudden interest in the gym." I let out another laugh, shaking my head. I guess I was supposed to believe it, wasn't I? Her hands trembled. As she reached for the picture frame but stopped short, as if touching it would burn her, I cut her off. "You want to see what I know?" I pulled out my phone, swiped through the screen, and turned it toward her. Photo after photo. Olivia sitting on a sunlit patio at a luxury resort. Olivia holding hands with him. Olivia, lips locked with her so-called business partner, Daniel, her face twisted into something between shock and panic. "Nick, I can explain." "Explain?" My voice rose. "You mean explain how you've been sneaking around while I worked my ass off to give you the life you wanted? Or maybe you'd rather explain how I found out." Her breathing grew uneven. "Please, just listen to me." "I did listen," I snapped. "For months I listened. I listened when you said you loved me. I listened when you swore you were just busy. I even listened when you told me I was overthinking. And do you know what? I believed you." Tears welled in her eyes, but I wasn't sure if they were tears of guilt or fear of what was coming next. I took a deep breath, my voice turning eerily calm. "I've already filed for divorce," she gasped. "My lawyer has the papers ready. You'll receive them first thing tomorrow. And before you even think about contesting it, I'd suggest reviewing the prenup you signed." Her mouth opened, then closed. She knew exactly what that meant. The prenup was airtight. She would walk away with nothing except what she had brought into this marriage, which frankly wasn't much. Her hands shook. "Nick, please, we can talk about this." I wasn't finished. "Oh, and one more thing," I said, my tone sharp enough to cut glass. "I told Daniel's wife." Olivia sucked in a breath like I had physically struck her. "She was, let's just say, devastated," I continued. "But she was also helpful. Turns out she had her own little collection of evidence. Some of it, well, let's just say you might want to brace yourself." Her legs gave out and she collapsed into a chair, her head in her hands. "Nick, I made a mistake. A mistake?" My voice was cold. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is missing a dinner date. What you did, that was a choice. Over and over again, you chose to betray me." She sobbed harder, but I felt nothing, no anger, no sadness. Just relief. I had been carrying this weight for so long, and now finally I could put it down. I grabbed my keys and turned toward the door. "I'll be staying in a hotel for the next few days," I said. "By the end of the week, movers will come to pack your things. You're leaving this house." Her tear-streaked face lifted, desperation flickering in her eyes. "Nick, don't do this. We can fix this. We can get counseling." I shook my head. "There are some things you just can't fix, Olivia. I reached for the doorknob, then paused. A small, almost cruel smile tugged at my lips. "Oh, and that new designer purse you bought on your business trip? I canceled the credit card for it. Have fun explaining that to the store." And with that I walked out, her sobs trailing behind me. As I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me like a wave, washing away the last remnants of the suffocating atmosphere inside that house. Our house. Or at least, that's what it had been before I realized I had been sharing it with a stranger. I got into my car and sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, my mind still processing everything. I had done it. I had finally confronted her. But why did I still feel so empty? Maybe because deep down, I had hoped, prayed, that she would fight for me. That she would beg for forgiveness, not out of fear, but out of genuine remorse. But all I saw in her eyes was panic, not because she had lost me, but because she had lost control of the situation, and that told me everything I needed to know. I pulled into the parking lot of a hotel about 10 minutes from home. It wasn't anything fancy, just a quiet, clean place where I could think. As I checked in at the front desk, the receptionist, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes, handed me my key card. "Tough night?" she asked, her voice gentle. I let out a dry chuckle. "Something like that." She gave me a knowing look. "Well, whatever it is, just remember, some endings are really just beginnings in disguise." I nodded, offering a weak smile, before heading to my room. Collapsing onto the bed, I stared up at the ceiling. For the first time in months, I didn't have to pretend. No more forcing a smile, no more questioning myself, no more wondering if I was crazy for suspecting something was wrong. It was wrong. And now I was free. As that thought settled in, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I hesitated before picking it up. It was a text from an unknown number. "Nick, this is Emma, Daniel's wife. I just wanted to say thank you. I know this can't be easy for you, but knowing the truth helped me make my decision too. I'm leaving him. We deserve better." I read the message twice, then a third time. Emma, the woman who had unknowingly been living a parallel life to mine, believing in the same lies, trusting the same deceitful words. I typed out a response. "We do." That was it. 2 simple words. But as I hit send, I realized I actually meant them. The next morning, I woke up to several missed calls from Olivia. I didn't answer. Instead, I checked my email. My lawyer had already drafted the divorce papers and was waiting for my confirmation before sending them to Olivia's legal team. I replied with a single word: send. Then I went about my day, got breakfast, went to the gym for the first time in weeks, even grabbed a coffee at a small cafe, just sitting there, watching the world move around me. It was strange. For so long, my world had revolved around her. Her schedules, her lies, her manipulations. Now, for the first time in years, I was living for myself, and it felt good. By the afternoon, Olivia had finally given up calling and resorted to texting instead. "Nick, please, we need to talk. I know I messed up, but you can't just throw everything away like this. I love you, don't you love me?" Love? I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Did I love her? The woman I had loved was not the woman who had come home laughing after sleeping with another man. She was not the woman who had lied to my face over and over again. And she was certainly not the woman begging now, only because she had been caught. No, I didn't love this version of her, and maybe, just maybe, I never really had. I locked my phone without replying. There was nothing left to say. The silence that followed Olivia's texts was deafening. I half expected her to show up at the hotel, banging on my door, demanding to be heard. But she didn't. Instead, the weight of her absence felt like a confirmation. She knew there was no fixing this. I spent the next few hours just breathing. No fights, no lies, no fake apologies, just peace. But peace doesn't mean there aren't battles left to fight. The final pieces by midday, my lawyer called. "Nick, Olivia's legal team reached out. She's contesting the divorce settlement." I sighed. Of course she was. The prenuptial agreement was airtight. Olivia had walked into this marriage knowing exactly what she would leave with if things went south. And now that the reality was sinking in, she was desperate. "Let them contest it," I said. "She can drag it out all she wants. She's not getting a dime more than what we agreed on." There was a pause. Then my lawyer chuckled. Good, because I already shut them down. A smirk tugged at my lips. You work fast. I don't like cheaters, he said simply. I'll keep you updated, but expect the finalization to go through within the month. It was happening. This wasn't just some heated argument that would blow over. This wasn't a mistake that could be undone. This was final, and for the first time I truly felt it. By evening, Olivia finally cracked. She called, this time from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, not out of kindness, but because I needed to hear it, needed to hear her break. Nick. Her voice was raw, like she'd been crying for hours. I said nothing. Please don't do this. I made a mistake, but it wasn't because I didn't love you. I was just lost. I let out a humorless laugh. Lost? That's what we're calling it now? I don't want to lose you, she whispered. You lost me the moment you chose him. Silence. Then she tried one last time. I can change. We can fix this. Please just give me a chance. I closed my eyes, inhaling deeply. Olivia, I don't hate you. I don't even care enough to be angry anymore. But I do know this. Whatever we had, it's gone. And I'm done fighting for something you threw away. She let out a broken sob. And I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not regret. Just freedom. I ended the call, and that was the last time I ever heard her voice. The days that followed felt strangely light. For so long, I had carried the weight of Olivia's deception, the endless nights of doubt, the gut-wrenching pain of knowing I was being lied to. But now it was all gone. I had stayed at the hotel for 3 days, long enough for the movers to clear Olivia's things from the house. My lawyer kept me updated. Olivia had no real legal ground to stand on, and deep down she must have known it. The fight she tried to put up, it was just desperation. But desperation wasn't enough to undo what she had done. I returned home on a Friday afternoon. The house felt different, not just because Olivia was gone, but because something about the air itself had changed. It didn't feel like a place tainted by lies anymore. It felt like mine. As I walked through the living room, my eyes landed on the dining table, the same place I had confronted Olivia with that framed wedding photo. The glass had long been shattered, but the words I had scrawled across it in red marker still haunted me. I know. I grabbed the frame, walked out to the backyard, and threw it into the trash bin without a second thought. I didn't need reminders of what had happened. I was moving forward, and just as I turned to head back inside, my phone buzzed. It was from Sophia. Hey, Nick, I just wanted to thank you again for telling me the truth. I know it couldn't have been easy. I exhaled. I hadn't spoken to her since that night. I appreciate it, Sophia. I'm just sorry you had to find out like this. Her reply came almost instantly. Me too. But you know what? Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. We both deserved better. I stared at my phone, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, and then, before I could think twice about it, I typed, "You free tonight?" A pause. Then, yeah, I'd like that. For the first time in months, I smiled, not out of relief, not out of bitterness, but because for the first time in a long time, I felt something real, and I was finally ready to embrace it. The end, or the beginning. That's the conclusion to this chapter of Nick's story. But who knows? Maybe a new one is just beginning. What do you think? Should I explore what happens next with Nick and Sophia? Let me know in the comments.